In 1985, Tom bought a house. He was 23, a high school diploma, a job at the local plant, and a girl he'd married that fall. 3 bedrooms on Maple Street, $72,000 paid on one income. 40 years later, his granddaughter Maya has a college degree, 2 jobs, and a credit score she is genuinely proud of. She has done everything right. And she'll be renting until she is 40. Same family, same town, same work ethic. So what happened between Tom and Maya? It wasn't them. It was the rules. Everyone has a theory for why Maya is behind. She buys too many lattes. She studied the wrong thing. The economy just got expensive. None of that explains the scale of it. Because the gap between Tom's life and Maya's didn't open by accident. Over about 40 years, the rules of the American economy were quietly rewritten to reward the people who already own things and to charge everyone else for trying to catch up. Nobody voted for it. Most of the people it made rich never even noticed. It comes down to 3 numbers. And Tom and Maya are about to live all 3. But first, you have to understand what Tom was handed. Because Tom didn't get rich. He just got a normal life in a country that made one easy. His job at the plant came with a pension, a check every month for the rest of his life paid by the company. If he'd wanted college, his state school cost about a summer of wages, and the house was 3 years of pay. This wasn't luck, and Tom wasn't special. It was the deal America offered an entire generation. Work hard, and the doors are open. Tom walked through every one of them, and never once had to wonder if it would last. Then the doors started closing. Number 1, the price of the thing you need most, a home. When Tom signed for Maple Street, a typical American house cost about 3 times what a family earned in a year, 3 to 1. Now watch what that line does. By the time Maya goes looking for the same kind of house, it costs more than 5 times a year's income. And in the city where she works, far worse. The house didn't get better. It stopped being a place to live and quietly became an asset to own. Maya runs the math on a spreadsheet at midnight, and every time she saves a little more, the down payment she's chasing has drifted further away. She isn't failing. She is sprinting toward a finish line that keeps sliding. She does the responsible thing. She waits. She saves. And waiting turns out to be the single most expensive decision this market will ever punish her for. Now, somebody always says it. Tom's mortgage rate was 13%. Maya's is half that. She's got it easier. And it's true, Tom's rate was brutal. But here's the trick. Tom's house cost 3 times his income. So even at 13%, the thing itself was small. And when rates fell over the next decade, Tom refinanced and watched his home's value climb. Maya gets the lower rate on a house that cost twice as much in a market where the price already swallowed the savings. A cheap loan on a thing you can't afford is still a thing you can't afford, which brings us to the year everything tilted. Maya was 7 years old when the financial system nearly died. Tom was 46. A paid-off house, a retirement account, 20 years of equity. When the crash came, the people in charge reached for one tool. Make money almost free. Interest rates to near zero. Print trillions. And it worked. The system survived. But cheap money does one very specific thing. It inflates the price of assets, stocks, houses, anything you can own and hold. So for Tom, who already owned, the next 10 years made him richer in his sleep. His house on Maple Street doubled again. And for Maya, still a child, that same decade was quietly inflating the price of everything she would one day try to buy. The recovery wasn't shared. It was a transfer from the people who didn't own assets to the people who did. Maya just didn't know it was being done to her yet. Here is number 2. From 2009, the year Maya turned 8, the stock market climbed more than 400%. Home prices roughly doubled, and the wage Maya would one day earn after inflation, up just a few percent. Picture Tom's assets as that soaring line. Now picture Maya's paycheck as the flat one underneath it. The space between those 2 lines is the whole story. That isn't a market, It's a scoreboard for a game Maya was entered into at birth and never told she was playing. And it isn't only what they own, it's what they were promised. When Tom retired, a pension check showed up every month, like clockwork. The company carried the risk. Maya was handed something called a 401k, an empty bucket she fills herself, if there's anything left after the rent. In 1980, most private workers in America had a pension. Today, almost none do. Nobody held a vote to end retirement security. They just quietly moved the risk off the company's books and onto Maya's. You could call all of this bad luck, one unlucky generation. Except it keeps happening in the same direction every single time, and once you see why, you cannot unsee it. The system isn't broken, it is doing exactly what it was built to do. Look at how Maya and Tom are taxed. Maya earns money by working, her 2 jobs. The government taxes that at one rate. Tom's money earns money by simply existing, his house, his investments rising in value, and that is usually taxed less. The system charges Maya more for working than it charges Tom for owning. Then add the rest. The tax breaks Tom gets for his mortgage, the zoning laws near Maya's city that block new housing to protect the value of homes like Tom's. Each rule sounds reasonable on its own. Stacked together, they are a machine. And Maya is the one feeding. Then there's the diploma, the one Maya was told would set her free. Tom's generation could cover a 4-year degree with a summer job and a part-time gig. Maya's degree came with a number attached, a debt she signed for at 17 before she had ever earned a paycheck or owned a single thing. An entire generation took on a mortgage for an education years before they could get a mortgage for a home. They were told it was an investment. For a lot of them, it just became the first big thing they owed money on. It was never a thing they owned. Which brings us to number 3, the one that stops people cold. When Tom's generation was the age Maya is now, they owned about 21% of all the wealth in the country. When Maya's generation reached that same age, their share was about 5%, same age, a fraction of the ownership. Not because Maya's generation worked less, but because by the time they arrived, the price of getting in had already been bid up. By Tom's generation, holding the very assets the rules were designed to lift. And here is what makes this so hard to say out loud. Tom is not the villain. He didn't steal anything from Maya. He bought a house, paid his mortgage, and followed every single rule he was ever given. The rules just happened to pay him for decades simply to hold on. He earned his comfort honestly. The problem isn't Tom. It's a system that, by design, compounds for the people who already own and meters out everyone else by the hour. We built an economy where the safest way to get rich is to already be rich. And the second safest is to have been born early, like Tom. That is not a moral failing of Maya's generation. It is the predictable output of 40 years of rules that reward owning over working. Maya was told the game was about effort. For Tom, it turned out to be about timing, and it's about to get worse. Over the next 20 years, Tom's generation will pass down the largest fortune in human history, around $84 trillion, but it will not be spread evenly across Maya's generation. It will go to their own children, so the divide stops being about when you were born and starts being about who you were born to. The rigged game is about to become hereditary. If your parents owned assets, you're about to inherit a head start. If they didn't, the gap just became a wall. And the most frustrating part? None of this is a law of physics. We know the levers: build housing, a lot of it in the places people actually want to live, tax the money that money makes at least as hard as the money that work makes, and stop reaching for cheap money every single time the markets get nervous. We could start pulling these levers tomorrow. We don't. Because the people who would have to vote for it are the people the current rules already reward. And turkeys, as they say, do not vote for the holidays. So here is my prediction, and I am logging it so you can hold me to it. By 2030, the typical first-time home buyer in America, the next Maya, will be over 40 years old, the oldest on record. Unless one of two things changes: we build far more housing than we do today, or we stop using cheap money to pump the price of assets. I don't think either one happens in time. I genuinely hope I'm wrong. Maya is going to be fine, by the way. She is sharp, she works hard, she'll claw her way to a home eventually, a decade later than Tom did, with a lot more scars. But she should know this. She didn't fall behind because she did anything wrong. She started a race that Tom had already finished before she was even born, on a track that has been quietly tilting the entire time. You cannot win a rigged game by playing harder, but you can stop blaming yourself and start seeing the board. The first step to beating a rigged game is knowing that it's rigged. Now you do, and so does Maya.